Hello everyone, welcome to Civil Prep. Hello everyone, welcome to Civil Prep. I am Krishna Gupta, and we are into this series of Geography Optional Foundation 2026. That is, this is lecture 8. Actually, this is the welfare approach in the human geography. Good morning, Shalini. Okay, so this lecture is quite important from the UPSC perspective, where we will be understanding that how to approach for the welfarism or welfare approach in human geography. We have already seen that how there was quantitative revolution, then there was social relevance movement, then there was development of three approaches. Here, that is radicalism, there was humanistic, and there was behavioralism. Okay, this particular diagram or this particular approach, it was given by Kuhn and Popper. Okay, so here we will be looking at one of the approach. Yes, good morning, Urmila. How are you? How are you guys? How are you doing? How are you feeling about the lectures that I am taking? Means, are you feeling that you are able to approach questions, or there is something like something missing is here? Just provide me in the answer here. Means, live chat box. Okay, so how are you feeling about the lectures? Means, are you able to understand them? Are you able to uh, it's very helpful and have a clear concept about each topic. That's actually this course, these lectures I have designed in such a way that in a particular lecture you are able to cover everything about a topic from model series laws perspective. For example, this is perception only. So you can go to the perception of what elements are present inside them and how you can also use them as a part of the case study in the answer writing. So I have tried to complete those particular aspects so that in any kind of question, if it is asked in UPSC examination, you are able to attempt them and you are able to solve them. Okay, so the similar approach will be also taken for the future part. Okay, you can go through one part. I have uploaded this PDF. Okay, so you can go to your courses. Okay, where you have completed this part, where you have enrolled yourself. So here you will go to courses section in the civilprep.in. Inside this, you have to go to, as this is the Geography Optional Foundation freemium course. So here you can go to the freemium course and you have to scroll down. Here, when you will go to the curriculum section, under the curriculum, you will get welfare approach in human geography. Okay, so I have to enroll here. It is asking me to enroll, so I can just enroll by my account. You have to register yourself if you are not enrolled. Okay, Urmila, lectures are good, very helpful for answer writing. Okay, that is a good part for me. Okay, so this is my account from where I can log in here. And when I will go into this section, I will see a curriculum section. Here I have welfare approach in geography. When I click over it, I will be taken to the lecture section. So this is the PDF, what you can see here. Here we have the welfare geography, that what are the important. I have covered PDF in that way, the same PDF I'm using for the lecture here. Okay, so you can get access for it and you can use it for the development of your notes. Okay, so this is one part here. Okay, second thing what I would like to ask you, I would like you to go through which that if you are attempting for 2026 or 2027 also, if you want to do the test series and you want to take the answer writing, so you can come to this part, that is the premium section, which is just provided here. So here you can see a premium geography optional foundation premium. So under the premium section, you will also get the test series for every topic. For example, if this is perspective in human geography, so as the perspective in human geography will be completed, there will be a complete test for this part here, where you will be able to take almost 22 tests. Okay, you will be able to take 22 tests, which will be very helpful for you for the answer writing here. Second thing we will also see here, that we will be also, you can also go through the answer writing. Okay, daily answer writing. So that particular course is being designed right now. So if you want to daily write answers with this part, so you can also enroll in that particular course. That will be very helpful for you to go through this particular aspect here. Now, let's come to the lecture part. So today's topic here we have, that is the welfare approach in geography or welfare approach in human geography. Now, this component, what we see here, that is the part of the welfare approach in human geography, and it has basically came out of radicalism. Now, radicalism in the initial phase, as we have already understood, it was having a liberal stance. Okay, it was having the liberal stance. So here the radicalist geographers, they were giving certain ideas, certain inputs, so that how there should be development of the policies, there should be development of various aspects which will help in the development or overcoming the inequality which is present prevalent over the space. So for this part, there was a kind of a extreme stance was being taken towards the end part of the radicalism. So here there was a divide which have resulted into the breaking of this radicalism, and there came out the welfarism and the Marxism. So welfarism, it was having the liberal stance. Okay, number one, it was having the liberal stance. Number two, it was not having a tendency of the overthrow of the structures or destruction of structures and the overthrow of the government. It was having a stance of the government is responsible. Government is responsible to see the issue of inequality over space. And government should formulate certain policies through which it is able to overcome the issues of inequality. For example, in India, if we look at, we have policies like Food for All or Food Security Act. So this is a policy where everyone is entitled to have food. If I'm not getting food, I can go to the government and I can ask where is my food, and government is entitled to give me food in case I'm not having it. We have right to education. So under the right to education, we can go to the government and we can ask that why I am not receiving certain kind of education for my development, for my opportunities. In case of other things like we can say uh, you have other strands like if you want clean air, if you want certain other things which are required by us for our development. So these are taken into the policies. So this became a very important stance in the welfarism part. Now, this stance, it was very much different from the Marxist approach. where Marxists were not willing to have confidence over the government, that because the government was in itself, it was a part of a political structure. Okay. And here they were not believing on the structural issues. So welfarism, it came out of the structural part. Okay. And it gave into an aspect that how we should be going for the understanding of this issues which are prevalent over the space by a different approach. For example, there is DM Smith. DM Smith, he has given a concept of what, where, who, how, and when. So this was one of the approach which was given by DM Smith, through which we were able to identify the people, identify the spaces, identify the issues which were suffering from the issue of inequality. Okay. Now let's look at this. The birth of the welfare approach, which occurred mainly in 1960s to 1970s. The welfare approach emerged during the social reform movement, or we also call it as social relevance movement of the 1960s, as a direct critic of the prevailing quantitative revolutionary approach. So we have already seen in the previous lecture that what were the important components of the social relevance movement. For example, prevalence of poverty, uh, the prevalence of diseases, the issues of health, the issues of inequality over space, the contrast between the developed world and the developing world. Then we can also see certain aspects which were important, like wars, civil wars were going there. So these were the part of the social relevance movement. Now, moving forward, this transformation in geographic thought represents a significant paradigm shift in how geographers conceptualize and addresses societal challenges. Now, why did the welfare geography emerged here? The quantitative approach, which dominated geography in the post World War II period, focused primarily on quantitative measurement and spatial analysis without explicit consideration of human welfare and social justice. So here you might have gone through the quantitative revolution notes. So you might have seen that how the quantitative revolution, it went with the lawmaking, the positivists, the application of science everywhere. So this was something which was explicitly giving out the idea of human geography. And obviously, if we are talking about only the scientific parameters, so the poverty, the scale of poverty, it cannot be measured at that time because it was not established. Now, moving forward, critics of this approach observed its fundamental limitations, like it could not provide solutions to multiple interconnected problems confronting the society, including number one, the political inequality and spatial injustice. Okay, so this is one issue, political inequality, like uh, in certain conditions, like in India, we have a democratic structure and we normally enjoy the political rights. But in certain countries like Middle East, certain countries like Pakistan, even Bangladesh also, we have certain issues with respect to the political inequality. For example, with respect to the choosing of the government, then the simple working of the government, then a kind of a space where we have certain aspect of confidence over the government which is ruling us. So this was the inequality. Then cultural disparities and regional discrimination. Now this is an important part. The cultural disparities, for example, in India, if we look at here, in India, if we look at, we have the peripheral regions. Okay, this is the heartland of India, and this is the peripheral region, which I am highlighting in blue. So in the peripheral region, we will see that there are minorities are living majorly here, like Buddhist, like Christian, like Muslims. Okay, also Sikh. After Sikh, we can also see certain like Parsis. So all these minority religions, they are, it can be religion, it can be language, it can be anything. They are living over this periphery. While the heartland, it mainly consisted of the dominant religion or language or dominant culture, like Hindi or Hinduism. Now, under this part, this was also highlighting certain kind of a inequality which is present over the Indian space. Then, environmental degradation and ecological crisis. Yes, this is one of the issue which we are facing till right now also. Economic inequality and poverty. Okay. So, for example, in the region of Eastern India, like Bihar and Uttar Pradesh, and the region like Gujarat and Maharashtra, here we will see that the average income in Bihar and Uttar Pradesh in the contemporary time, it is just below 1 lakh. It is around 80,000 to 90,000. That is an average per capita income of people in Bihar and Uttar Pradesh. But when we go to Maharashtra and Gujarat, here the per capita income, it is almost around 2 lakh 20,000. Okay, so here we will see that there is a 90,000 and there is a 2 lakh, more than 2 lakh. So there is a very wide in economic inequality in a particular region. We can find it in the space. So this is something which was showing an economic inequality and also the prevalence of poverty in those particular regions. Then welfare problems including inadequate healthcare, education, and housing. Okay, so this is also prevalent not only in India, but it is also prevalent over the world. Spatial variations in quality of life. Yes, this is very important. The quality of life which we are living in India, the quality of life the people living in USA, the quality of life in Africa, the quality of life in European countries, or the quality of life in the Middle East countries, the quality of life in the war-ridden countries, like currently it is Israel, Iraq, or it can be Russia or Ukraine. So here we see that the kind of quality of life, it is very much varied here. Thus, the social reform or social relevance movement of the 1960s catalyzed a fundamental rethinking of geography's purpose. Geographers began questioning whether the discipline should merely describe spatial patterns or actively contribute to addressing societal inequalities. This question coincided with the emergence of the radical approach. Okay, so we have already studied about the radical approach, which advocated for fundamental revolutionary changes in the existing socio-political systems of those regions. Now, the moderate position, that is the welfare and the radical approaches. Now, what is difference between the welfare and the radical approach? We need to first understand that. Then we will be able to understand the welfare approach in a better way because we have already studied the radical approaches here. While welfare geography shared a common origin from the radical approach in the social reform movements, the 1970s marked a crucial divergence. So there was a divergence, as I have provided here, that this is a divergence which have occurred out of the radicalism here. Welfare geographers adopted a moderate position on the three fundamental belief systems. What were these three fundamental belief systems? Number one, acceptance of contemporary systems. Yes, there can be not a single system can be prevailing there. There can also be multiple systems, like belief in the adequacy of existing politico-economic systems and modes of production. Politico-economic system, we are talking about democracy, we are talking about monarchy, we are talking about, we can say, communist, etc. Okay, so these are certain politico-economic systems which are prevalent in the contemporary time, and they are coexisting. For example, the people who are living in Saudi Arabia, they are very happy with their country. The people who are living in United States of America, they are also happy. The people who are living in Russia and China, they are also quite happy. Okay, so here we can see that the different type of existing of politico-economic system can be a reality. Then modes of production like capitalism, communism. Then we can have socialism. Cooperatives. These are certain modes of production which are prevalent and they are actually prevalent in the society. So these things they can coexist. For example, in India only we have capitalist system also, socialist system also, cooperative system also, and in certain regions we have communist or the communism system also, which are prevalent here. Rejecting the revolutionary stance of the radical geographers. Now, intellectual neutrality. The conviction that geographers should remain politically neutral and maintain scientific objectivity, refusing to associate themselves with any specific political ideology or revolutionary agenda. For example, the radicalists, they called for the call to action, we can say call to action propaganda, where they were asked to join the political stances to see that how they can bring changes over the society. Then number three, knowledge generation and not policy making. Okay, as we see here, the belief that geographers primary responsibility was to identify and highlight the welfare problems through rigorous analysis, particularly spatial inequalities. However, they contended that the actual formation of policy should remain with the domain of elected policymakers and the administrators. So here, welfarism, it was saying that it is the government's responsibility to form policy and to solve the issue of the the everyday problem of the people, and it is not the problem with the geographers, it is not the responsibility of geographers to solve the problem by making policies here. Then the underlying assumption was optimistic here with the welfarism part. If policymakers remain unaware of welfare problems, they cannot address them. However, once these problems are documented and highlighted through geographic research, rational policymakers would initiate corrective measures. So this was an important part where the welfare geographers, they started to highlight the problems on which the policies have to be made. And this highlighting was made in the form of a document. And this document, it was presented to whom? To the political leaders, on which they were able to formulate certain policies here. So this was an important stance which was taken by the welfare geographers, that they will be providing document to the political leaders, on the basis of which these political leaders will be able to form policies for the spatial inequality prevalence over the world. Now, in the same part, this basically arised after the DM Smith. Basically, what DM Smith did, he is basically belonged to the, we can say, the British or the Anglo school. What he did here, he has seen in the Britain that the government is working very fine, and he has came out of the radicalism part. He has started this welfare approach, and he has seen that there are certain inequality which is prevalent over the Britain. Therefore, he started to write certain papers. He started to do certain researches and gather empirical data on which he was able to present certain policies which should be formulated to overcoming those issues here. So by this, what we will see that after the 1970s, after the 1970s, the government in the United Kingdom, they started to formulate certain policies which actually helped the people who were struggling with certain issues by them, which were small issues, but yes, the small issues can impact the people very highly. So this was done during the, we can say, during the 1970s by the DM Smith in the United Kingdom. Now, certain theoretical framework and the methodological approaches which was taken up by this by the welfare geography. The evolution of welfare mapping. Initial variables, the consumption based measures. In the early phases of welfare geography, that is early to mid 1970s, welfare geographers adopted measurement variables directly from contemporary economic theory. These variables were primarily measures of consumption. This is an important part, reflecting the disciplinary influence of welfare economics. Okay, that is common variables which are included. We'll be discussing them. So we see that certain parts were imported from the part of the welfare economics, where how the economic welfareism can be also applied over the space or over the geography. So here certain things were taken into considerations like the personal income and earnings. Number one, consumption expenditure pattern. Number two, access to consumer goods and services. Number three, employment rates and types. So these were certain aspects which were taken up as an important variable for the welfare geography in the geographical aspect. Then after this, there was a shift to the quality of life indicators which have taken place during the 1970s. Okay, so this was the first approach which was taken by the welfarism in geography. Then this was the second approach, which was taken by the welfarism in geography. By the late 1970s, welfare geographers recognized the limitations of simple consumption measures in capturing the true dimensions of human welfare. Now, let's understand this in quite detail. Now, for example, I am earning around 50,000 a month, and this is my income part that I am earning 50,000 a month. Now, my consumption expenditure pattern, if I will look at here, that I am almost I'm almost making an expenditure of around 30,000. Okay, this is in rupees, 30,000 rupees. So here I will see that I'm able to earn something and I'm able to expend something. I'm doing certain expenditure here. Now, in this part, I will also see that certain consumer goods and services I'm able to access or not. For example, if I want to have a car, can I access it or I cannot access it? If I want to have a good healthcare system, healthcare access, so I'm able to do it or I am not able to do it. So this was one question here. If I want certain, I can say certain uh, I want to go to certain tour. I can go to a tour or I cannot afford a tour. So with my income, which I have right now, can I take all these things and can I achieve all these things? Can I access all these things within this income? So that was the question here. Now, apart from this, the first question was like if I'm employed or I am not employed and what are the employment types. But over this, what we will see here that the income and consumption pattern, it does not signify that how happy I am, what kind of quality of life I am having. For example, what is the level of my education? It is, we can say it is basic, it is higher secondary, or it is advanced. So this is not experienced here. What kind of skills I have, and this can be basic, this can be higher, this can be advanced. And on the basis of this, what is my particular income? Is this basic, this is high, or this is advanced? So this was seen here as a part of the as a part which was lacking in this particular approach of consumption based measures. Okay, the kind of air that I am having right now, the kind of quality of water that I'm getting right now, so this was also taking here into the consideration, which was precisely giving that what kind of life a person is living. Thus, a broader conceptual framework emerged through the development of quality of life variables. These multidimensional indicators encompassed. What are these indicators? We'll be looking them right now. First is the health indicator, that is life expectancy. For example, in India, almost around 7 to 8 years from now, like 2018, the average life expectancy was 72 years. But in 2025, it is just 68 years. So why there is a decline in this life expectancy in India? Then infant mortality rate, though infant mortality rate, we will say that it is consistently declining in India. Then access to medical and dental services. For example, how many people they can have a medical and dental services. This is also seen here. Disease prevalence and mortality patterns. Okay. So here we will see that there is a kind of a cohort, we can say data, which was taken up with respect to the age specific, which was taken as with respect to the disease specific, that what is at what age people are dying, because of what disease people are dying, because of what conditions people are dying. So these were taken into certain pattern, and on the basis of which this welfare part, it was given a better stance to understand the welfare geography. Then if we look at the educational indicators, literacy rates and educational attainment, as we have seen in the previous part, school enrollment and completion rates. For example, in India, we will see that for the 10th class, almost around 82% of the child they are giving 10th class. But as they go to the 12th class, here there is only 42 to 46% who are enrolling in the 12th class. Rest all of the students, they are getting dropout. So this is a very large scale where we see that almost 50% of the students or children, they are dropped out of the school after the 10th class. So why this is so? This we have to understand in the welfare geography. Then quality of educational infrastructure. Like in the contemporary time, we have digital infrastructures, we have laboratories in the schools, which are providing us a better educational input for our understanding. Then access to higher education. For example, 10th, then we have 12th, then we have, we can say, the graduation, then we have post-graduation, then we have PhD. Okay, so how many of the students or children they are able to access this particular educational levels? This is also seen here. Then under the economic indicators, the income levels and the distribution, the employment rates and occupational infrastructure, poverty indices and severity, economic mobility and opportunity. Economic mobility and opportunity, like for example, this is my grandfather, this is my father, this is me, this will be my children, and this will be my grandchildren. So, for example, if I will take it in the form of gold, because I cannot compare it in the form of the rupee or the value of rupee in the contemporary time, but I will go to this gold value. So, if my grandfather used to earn something which was almost around a month, if we see here, so that was 3 grams of gold per month. So this was his income. If I look at my father, it was around 2 grams of gold per month. But current in the contemporary time in 2025, we see that gold rate is around 1,20,000 and my income is just 50,000. So in this way, it is 0.4 grams of gold per month. So this is my income in the contemporary time. So what will be happening with my children? How much they will be earning? So this is the income mobility which is taking place from generation to generation, which is specifying that how the income is declining over the time. So this is also a kind of a inequality, which is called as intergenerational and the intragenerational inequality, which is prevalent over the space. And yes, this is quite true. You can also ask your parents and grandparents that how much they were earning, and if you can convert it into the amount of gold. So you will be able to understand that what they were earning, what you are earning right now, and how this is declining in the contemporary time, and how it will decline in the future also. Now, the social and the environmental indicators, the housing quality and the availability. First thing, am I having a particular house? Yes or not? If I'm having it, what is the quality of that housing? Is it having the sanitation? Is it having certain open environment? Is it having certain places where I can be alone? Are there certain public places where the people can come and visit me? So these are certain things which are required in a house. Then nutrition and food security that I'm having. In the contemporary time, we are seeing that the quality of nutrition in a food, it is declining. So this is resulting into a nutritional crisis, and this is also highlighted in the Niti Aayog's multidimensional poverty report. Then access to clean water and sanitation, we have talked about it. Environmental quality and pollution levels. For example, in Nagpur, where I'm residing right now, the AQI level here, it is around 50 to 60, which is quite amicable. Here I can live comfortably. But if you will go to Delhi, you won't believe I have been in Delhi since last 12 years. So in Delhi, during this particular winter time, that is December, the AQI levels, it drops to almost around 400 to 450. For example, in the yesterday's news, it was given the GRAP, okay, that is the graded response action plan. Here there are certain levels. So the GRAP 3, it was put into the action, due to which there are certain activities which will be stopped to control the pollution in the region. Now, access to the recreational facilities. For example, if I want to go to certain recreational areas, like I want to go to swimming, I want to have certain quality time with my family. So I need certain public places which is away from my home. So I am able to enjoy them or not. So this is also a question here. Then cultural and social opportunities. For example, how easily I can organize certain cultural programs, how easily I can provide certain social programs where I can participate, and I can also invite people to participate. So this is also seen as one of the opportunity which is under the social and environmental indicators. This multivariable approach represented a significant methodological advancement, moving welfare geography beyond simplistic economic measures towards a comprehensive understanding of areal differentiation based on the human well-being. So here we will see that there is quantitative revolution. Before that, there was a areal differentiation. And here we will see that under this welfarism, there was again the rise of the areal differentiation as a part of the its subprogram. Okay, so here there was a resurgence, resurgence of the areal differentiation in the welfarism here. So this is one thing which is quite important for us to understand, that how this welfarism and the evolution of the welfare geography have actually taken place. Now, next part here is the spatial dimensions, that is converting economic questions to the geographic questions. Now, if we look at here, if we look at the first stance, that the welfarism came here as a part of the economic welfarism. To the part of the geographic welfarism. So the question in the first part, that is the economic welfarism, were taken from the perspective of economics, but it has to be now converted into the geographic. Thus, a critical conceptual innovation in welfare geography was the explicit incorporation of spatial variation into welfare analysis. This transformation can be understood through the reformulation of a classical policy question. This question is given by Harold Laswell's original question: from political science and policy analysis, who gets what, when, and how. This got a very highly, we can say it was modified by the D.M. Smith's geographic remuneration reformation, that is, who gets what, where, and how. So there was a very high emphasis on the where part. So here we see that D.M. Smith, he has converted this question of economic question, that is who gets what, when, and how, to who gets what, where, and how. So this become an important part for the understanding and application of welfarism and welfare geography over the geographical studies. This seemingly simple addition of the spatial dimension where fundamentally redirected welfare analysis towards the geographic concern. Smith demonstrated that the areal distribution of welfare is not random, but reflects systematic spatial patterns that can be significantly documented and analyzed. Now, under this part, if I want to understand that to whom I can apply this, who get what, where, and how, I can take certain examples like farmers in India, then number two, laborers, number three, children, number four, employees, number five, elderly, which are about 60 years in age. Then number six, I can also take here women. I can also take here men. Number eight, I can also take here like people who are in the IT industries. Number nine, the people who are working in manufacturing. Number 10, the agricultural laborers. So all this, we can say all this part here, they signifies who. Okay, they signifies who here. Now, what? What basically signifies that what is the problem? What is the problem here? So for the farmers, we will say that the problem is with respect to the kind of the MSP. Farmers have an issue of MSP. They can also have an issue of, for example, the selling of the produce or the erratic rainfall, or certain section of farmers they have irrigation system, certain farmers do not have an irrigation system. When we talk about the laborers, we have certain working hours. For example, Narayan Murthy ji in the contemporary time, means in this year only, he have talked about 70 hours work shift. Okay, there were certain other people came to from the other section of the economical societies. They have provided that there should be 100 hours of work week. Certain people even went for the 120 to 140 hours of work week. So we need to understand here that is this thing is possible for the management? Can a management work for 10 to 14 hours a day? And a labor. So there is a difference between a management and a labor, which is very specifically described in our labor laws. That certain laws they are applied to the labor, but the same laws are not applied to the management. But there are certain laws which are applied to the management, but the same law is not applied to the labor. So this is also highlighted in the new codes, new four labor laws, which are highlighted in the contemporary time. Does all the labors have the quotient of security, the social security? It is no. But do management have the chance of social security? Yes. In the next part, we will see. Does labor have a particular minimum basic income? It is no. But do management have? It is yes here. In the next part, we will see that does labor have a kind of, we can say, insurances, or they can go for the certain issues that they are facing and they can demand resolution, not for everything, but can management do that? It is yes for the maximum part here. So it is something like that how we are looking at the labor and management, and both are considered as a part of the labor. It is a kind of a disillusional. Okay, it is a complete disillusional in this part. A management can work for 14 to 15 hours. Even they can work for, they will just come out of the sleep. That is 8 hours. They can work for straight 16 hours because they have certain people who are working for them. But for the labor, it is the labor who is giving their own, we can say, their own effort, their own labor for the running of that particular section of that industry that they are working in. Therefore, it is quite different. Children, when we will see that, it is majorly with respect to number one, nutrition, number two, education, number three, we will see that the proper sanitation, number four, food, number five, we can say about what conditions they are living in, what kind of society they are living in. Okay, so these are certain what for the children. Okay, employees, we can see what we have seen here. The same thing can be applied to the employees also. Elderly, when we look at the kind of pension, then they can get here, the kind of the social community then they can live in. the kind of the quality of life. Okay, that is the good air, good water, good food. Okay, so these are also needed for the elderly, because they have already given around 50 years of their life for the development of society. Now after moving the age of 60, it is very important for the we can say the society or the government or the family, that they should also be taking care of the elderly who have contributed for the overall development. But is it being done or is it not? This is a question here. Women women is a very big issue. For example, there are certain rights which are not rights are denied to the women, but the society is built in such a way, but that certain things they are seen as this are only done by the women and these are only done by the men here. So therefore there was the rise in the feminist geography, which is also part of the functionalist and the post modern geography. So for the women we will see that the kind of representation, their participation in employment. Okay, we will see that the kind of income that they are getting. Okay, is it good, is it not? Okay, if we can also look into the daily course, then what is the undocumented pay which they are entitled to, because they are daily doing the daily housework, but they are not getting it, it is not accounted for. So this is something which is also represented for the women. So these are certain things we see that which is highlighted by the David M. Smith. Here, he had tried to take all the considerations of the society, and he had tried to define that who gets what, where, and how. And this was taken as a basic part of the welfare geography, which was taken into the part of the quality of life parameters. Now, number three, that is the key theorist and their contributions here. Number one, David M. Smith, the prime mover. David Smith, give me a minute. David M. Smith. He is a British geographer, as we have already discussed. Stands as the foundational figure in the welfare geography, earning recognition as a prime mover of this approach. His intellectual contributions restructured geographic thinking in the fundamental ways. Okay, before moving forward, I would like to ask you that are you getting what we have understood here as a part of the welfare development and the welfare geography? You can provide your answers in the live chat box here. If you have any doubt or any point is missing that you are not able to understand, you can provide it in the chat box. Here we will be resolving it in this live class only. Any queries, any doubts? You can ask it here. If no, then we can move further. Okay, so understood. Very good. Now, here we can see that David M. Smith, his approach that became prime mover here. The key contributions that was done by David M. Smith, that was bridging disciplines. Okay, bridging disciplines like Smith deliberately adopted welfare framework from welfare economics while translating them into geographic context. Okay, so here things were taken from the welfare economics to a certain extent and taken into the from the geographical context. This interdisciplinary bridge expanded geography's theoretical resources and connected it to the established economic thinking and social well-being. So this was an important work which was done by the David M. Smith. The theoretical integration which was done here, Smith made a crucial attempt to position the focus on social phenomena as a logical extension of the Harshonian geography. Harshon, you remember? Harshon was, we can say, he is the Richard Harshon who was associated with the regional differentiation or areal differentiation and regional geography, was also extended to the welfare geography here. While traditional Harshonian geography emphasized physical and economic criteria for regional differentiation, what Smith did here, Smith argued that social phenomena demonstrate even more extreme areal variation and constitute stronger criteria for geographic differentiation than traditionally used physical or economic variables. So this was something where Smith have given a better perspective of social aspect in the welfare geography, which was previously given by Hartshorne, where the physical plus economic criteria was given by Hartshorne here. Okay, so this became quite important from the welfare perspective. Then Smith's observation can be illustrated through the comparative analysis. Criteria, spatial variation, and geographic significance. Physical, that is landforms, which is gradual, continuous, and transition. High but well established here. Economic, which is with respect to GDP or industry, that is a moderate clustering over the space, important for the developmental understanding. Then social, that is education and health, it is extremely variable in the space. Discontinuous variation is also seen over the space. Here, the greater inequality potential is being looked upon from the welfare geography. Then, synthetic and multidimensional approach was also taken up here. Smith employed formal tools of neoclassical economics to create objective measures of inequality and welfare. This approach basically synthesized something which is important here, that is quantitative spatial analysis methods. For example, how we will be able to see that what is the income of people, what is the education level of people. So there were certain empirical studies which was done on the scientific basis. So this is also very important for understanding the welfare geography or the welfare approach, which also employed this quantitative spatial analysis methods. Then economic welfare concepts were also applied here. Geographic regional frameworks were also applied here. Statistical rigor measuring in the inequality was also seen with respect to the empirical data. Smith's approach was simultaneously positivistic in nature. This is important for us because when the question is asked, you have to provide here a stance that welfare geography, it was one of the, we can say, one of the critic of the quantitative revolution. But the welfare geography, it in itself consisted a component of positivism. This positivism, it was not systematic, but it was majorly regional. It was majorly regional in nature. Okay, so here we see that there is a kind of a modification of the approach which was taken from the quantitative revolution, which was positivistic, but it was majorly systematic. Okay, so we go from the systematic approach to the regional approach in the welfare geography, which gives us a basic tenet. Therefore, do not make a mistake of saying that the welfare approach was not positivistic in nature. It was basically positivistic in nature in its use of quantitative methods and humanistic also in its concern for human well-being, creating what might be called a methodologically pluralistic approach. Okay, so this particular approach, which was synthesized here from the systematic, that is the quantitative revolution, and also the regional and positivism was included here. This was called as the pluralistic approach. Okay, now Moving forward, the major publications that were done by the DM Smith, that is Human Geography of Welfare Approach in 1977. First comprehensive statement of welfare geography framework established the theoretical foundations and methodological approaches in human geography. Positioned welfare as a central to the geographic inquiry. So this was an important stance in the human geography of welfare approach. Book number two, where is the grass greener? Living in unequal world. So this was given in 1979 by DM Smith. It applied welfare geography to global inequality patterns. So not only the United Kingdom, but also the other countries like USA, then other European countries, then developing countries like India and South American countries and certain African countries were studied. And here, how the global inequality patterns were seen, it was studied here and published in the book. It demonstrated the practical application of quality of life frameworks in the contemporary aspect, highlighted the spatial dimension of the global disparities which were prevailing over the world in different kind of streams, what we can see here as apart from the perspective of farmers, laborers, children, employees, elderly women, men, IT industries, then we can say the manufacturing industries and agricultural labors, and there are certain other areas also where it can be very actively applied. Now, next geographer here we have, that is the B. Coates and colleagues from British Empirical Contributions. B. Coates and his contributors made significant empirical and methodological contributions to welfare geography, demonstrating the practical application of welfare concept at regional and the international scales. Key publications done by him, that is Regional Variation in Britain, Coates, okay, then BEN Ravstrom. Okay, this was seen in 1971. This pioneering study attempted to divide the geographical counties of the United Kingdom based on systematic variation in key economic and social indicators. The authors selected indicators including personal income distribution, employment rate and unemployment patterns, medical and dental services provision, education quality and accessibility, housing standards and availability. Okay, so these were certain things which were studied as a part of the welfare geography in the Britain. Now, my question to you is, you are living in certain town or certain city. For example, where you are living right now, do you have certain services with respect to the dental services, the medical services, bank, insurance services? Then we can also go for the government services, the public places. How much you can make a list of things? Like you can have a list of 100 services that can be provided by the government or the private entities. Out of these 100 services, how much you can access it right now as a student? It can be 50, it can be 60, but not all the services you can access it right now to a full scale. Now, in this part, what it was seen that how much this thing it was creating a kind of a, because you are a student right now, you are not an earning. So is it highlighting inequality? Yes, it is highlighting a kind of inequality that you are just a student right now. Therefore, you are not earning. Therefore, you won't be able to access all the services which are prevalent in the region. First thing, are these services available or not? Okay. Second thing, are you able to access them or not? Okay. So this is also seen from one perspective. Now, significance of the work of these cohorts. This work demonstrates that regional differentiation could be rigorously mapped using social welfare variables, providing empirical evidences that social indicators produce more nuanced regional divisions than traditionally used economic variables alone. So this was one part which was given by Coates with respect to the regional differentiation, which can be mapped over the social welfare variables. Now, next work is of geography and inequality given by Coates, Johnson, and Knox. Okay, Knox is also an important person for the welfare geography. This influential text represented a comparative international analysis of spatial inequality using objective social indicators The study examined inequality patterns across the different regions of the world, like United Kingdom, United States, France, India, and certain additional countries also. Certain variables which were taken into consideration, like regional variations in England, Scotland, and Wales, state and metropolitan variation in United States under France, regional disparities under India, interregional inequalities. That what are the different inequalities between different regions, like the region of Vidarbha, the region of Marathwada, which is present within the Maharashtra. Then additional countries, there is a comparative global analysis. Then selected inequality indicators which are present here. Number one, housing conditions and access to housing. Number two, educational opportunity and attainment. Number three, nutritional adequacy and food security. Number four, healthcare provision and health outcomes. So these are the four important inequality indicators which were selected to highlight the inequalities which are prevalent over the space in the different countries of the world. Now, the quote's key conclusion was given here. The authors concluded with a powerful moral statement: inequality is bad. Okay, do you feel inequality is bad? Yes, inequality is actually bad. This conclusion, while seemingly simple, represented an important assertion that geographic analysis of inequality has ethical implications. The statement rejected the notion that spatial analysis could or should remain value neutral when documenting human suffering and the deprivation. So, this was something which was highlighted with a single quote, that is inequality is bad, which is given by quotes. Whenever you are writing an answer where we have an aspect of inequality, so you can use this quote of quotes where inequality is bad is used. Okay, just remember this and add this in your notes. Methodological innovation which was done by him. These works established a template for comparative welfare geography that could be applied across the different geographic scales and national contexts, demonstrating that welfare indicators could provide universal framework for understanding spatial inequality. Okay. Next important theorist here we have, that is the Richard Morrill. Richard Morrill, we will see that he is associated with American welfare geography and the social responsibility. Understand one thing, Richard Morrill was also associated with the radical approach. Now, after the radical approach or the radical geography, he continued his further studies as a part of the welfare approach. Let's understand this. Richard Morrill, an American geographer, emerged as the most influential geographer associated with the welfare approach in the United States, bringing a distinctive emphasis on geographer's social responsibility. Key contributions which were done by him. Number one, role of geography in social transformation. Morrill outlined a transformative role for geographic research, arguing that geographers must move beyond neutral observation towards active engagement with social injustice. Therefore, he insisted on something, what that is, we have a responsibility to ask questions about rightness, as there is extreme imbalance between groups and areas, particularly in terms of job availability and income levels. So, this was one quote which was given by Richard Morrill here. This statement represented a call for engaged geography. This is an important part here, that balance neutrality with the moral responsibility. So you have to be neutral in one stance, but you have also need to be morally responsible for something which is happening over the space from the geographical perspective studies. Now, number two, specific areas of geographic advocacy given by Morrill. Morrill called upon geographers to actively engage in combating what that is. Number one, spatial inequalities in employment and job availability. See something, you have to see something here. Here, Morrill, uh he is a part of a welfare approach, okay, but he is also associated with call to action. He is asking geographers to not only be neutral but to be responsible to and to act for inequality. Okay, so therefore we see that the stance which is being taken by here, it is a part of a radical approach. Okay, so here the association which we can say here, that is more inclined towards a radical approach also. Now, what he has asked to combat here: number one, spatial inequalities in employment and job availability. Number two, unequal resource distribution and wealth concentration. Number three, income disparities between regions and social groups. Number four, poverty and its geographic manifestations. That what is the actual reason for the prevalence of poverty in a particular region. Number five, racism and its special expression in segregation and discrimination. This is very highly important, though it is not, it is seen less in the contemporary time, but this is very highly prevalent during the 1960s and 1970s in United States of America. Number six, environmental pollution and unequal exposure to environmental hazards. For example, if there are rich people, they have certain systems developed for themselves under which they can have a safe environment. But at the same time, there are poor who do not have certain system and they are exposed to the polluted environment. So this was something which was highlighted by Morel in terms of the exposure to the environmental hazards. Number seven, the mistreatment of the scenic and the historical landscapes and the cultural destruction. So he was also going for the saving of the culture which was present in a particular region, because it was seen that the factor of globalization, this was resulting into the mixed culture, and this was also resulting into the destruction of certain regional cultures. Thus, this was highlighted by Morton, which was specific to the geographic advocacy. Number three, the balanced approach which was given here. For example, like Smith, Morrill deliberately abstained from advocating any sort of social revolution. Okay, so here we can see that there was a call for action which was given by Morrill, but he was against the revolution. Revolution in what sense? In terms of number one, overthrow of government. Number two, here we can see that the destruction of structures. Okay, structures we have seen in the radicalism part, where we had superstructure, infrastructure, and deep structure, which are associated with the as a different levels and types of structures here. Then he sought a middle path between number one, revolutionary radicalism, complete restructuring of the economic system was highlighted. Uncritical status quo acceptance, that is ignoring spatial injustices. Okay, so this was also taken up here. Engaging welfarism, using geographic knowledge to advocate for incremental systematic improvement in the human welfarism. Morrell's contribution established the ethical and social responsibility dimensions of welfare geography in American geography, emphasizing that geographic knowledge created an obligation to serve the human welfare. So this was something from the welfare geography, was that it was having an obligation to serve the human welfare by studying the inequality over the space, the injustice over the space, and applying it over the welfare over of the people over the world. Now, there is conceptual framework of this part, that is the who, what, where, and how matrix, section 4. Okay, if I have already discussed this part here. If you want, you can go through this part, that what, who defines, what, where defines, what, how defines. Okay, so I'm just skipping this part here. This is just as a part of note that if you want certain example, certain understanding, then you can go for this stance. Like this is how, this is where, this is who, and this is what. Okay, So you can go for this part here. It will be helpful for you. Just go for it. Just read it once so that the application can be understood in a better way. Now, next section here we have, that is contributions of welfare geography to the geographical thought. Now, the contribution of welfare geography to the geographical thought or the human geography we need to understand. Before that, any doubt, any queries in the previous topic that we have understood here? You can answer in the chat box here. Any doubt, any queries? DM Smith, B. Coates. Okay, then we have Richard Morrill, three important pillars of the welfare geography. No doubt. Okay, let's move forward. Now, next is section 5, that is contribution of welfare geography to geographical thought. Reintroduction to the human dimensions after the quantitative revolution. So here the contribution is bringing back philanthropic humanism. This is an important part which we have seen as a part of the humanistic geography, where people are working for the welfare of the various section of society. So this was a philanthropic humanism. Okay, what are the other types of humanism? Okay, we have seen in the previous part. Okay, just you can comment on this box here if you remember. Welfare geography achieved a fundamental reorientation of geographic inquiry by reintroducing human concerns at the center of geographic analysis. This development represented a conscious effort to recover what might be called the human in the human geography. So, this was an important stance which was taken for the fundamental reorientation by introducing the human concern as the center of the geographic analysis, where the development here it was consciously given for the effort to recover what might be called as human in the human geography. So the human was taken as a center here for the geographical studies. So this was done. Historical context, if we look at the quantitative revolution of the 1950s and 1960s, while bringing scientific rigor to the geography, had paradoxically rendered the human experiences and social welfare invisible within the geographic discourse. Here, the emphasis on social patterns, locational analysis, and mathematical modeling sometimes obscured the actual human consequences of geographic processes. So, this was seen as a part of an important historical context of the quantitative revolution, ignoring the human aspect. Then, welfare geography is humanistic recovery. Welfare geography deliberately recentered human welfare while maintaining commitment to scientific rigor. The approach which was taken here, it insisted that geographic analysis must address questions that must matter to human lives. It shifted focus from abstract spatial patterns to lived experiences of deprivation and opportunity. So we can see a change of stance here. The questions that matter to the human lives, lived experience of deprivation and opportunity. For example, if certain section of society they are not getting certain income, certain food, certain nutrition, so what is their experiences with respect to the deprivation of those things? Okay, so what is the lived experiences? We are documenting those part here. Connected geographic knowledge to moral responsibility for human flourishing, restored normative dimensions to geographic inquiry, asking not just what is, but what should be. Okay, so we are moving from a stance that what is the issue here, and here we are going to the what should be the solution also. Okay, now distinction from the humanistic geography. If you look at this part here, while sharing humanistic concerns, welfare geography maintained important differences from concurrent humanistic geographical movement, from dimension, then welfare approach, welfare geography, and humanistic geography. Method, here it is qualitative, quantitative. Okay, here it is qualitative. focus, it is inequalities, it is individual meaning and experiences, policy formulation, reform and education, then understanding the lived worlds here. Spatial part, that is macro space or macro region, place specific interpretation of the part here, which is part of humanistic geography and the welfare geography, which is distinct here. Now, synthesis and integration across the approaches, that is the welfare approach and the humanistic approach, creating bridges between the geographic tradition. Welfare geography achieved a remarkable synthesis where traditionally competing approaches could be integrated towards common purpose rather than viewing different geographic traditions as mutually exclusive. Welfare geography demonstrated their complementary contributions. The integrated framework, it can be seen here as areal differentiation approach, then spatial science approach, then social humanistic concerns, welfare geography synthesis is seen here. So looking at the first part, that is areal differentiation approach, that is regional geography, provided framework for organizing geographic variation, enabled regional identification of welfare problems, connected local locations, local conditions to the broader patterns. Spatial science approach, that is quantitative geography, supplied rigor analytical tools or methods, enabled precise measurement of inequality, and provided statistical tools for the pattern identification also. Okay. Then social and humanistic concerns provided motivation and ethical direction, ensured relevance to human concerns, and generated policy-oriented questions here. For the welfare geography synthesis, there was rigorous documentation of inequality, regional frameworks for understanding variations, policy relevant recommendations for the human improvement was also seen here. Now, when we talk about the theoretical significances, this synthesis demonstrated that geographic traditions need not be viewed as varied factions but as complementary toolkits was seen here. So, under this theoretical significances, we were looking at it that geographic traditions which were seen as a part of the synthesis, where the other approaches were integrated with the welfare approach, should not be seen as the factions which are developing in the welfare part here. But it should be seen as a complementary toolkit. For example, this is humanistic, this is radical, okay, this is, we can say, what we have here. This is qualitative, and this is complete welfarism. Okay, this is complete welfarism. This is areal differentiation. So all these things, they can be so seen as a tool which can be applied in the welfare geography and not seen as a factions of the welfare geography. So welfare geographers showed that quantitative methods could serve humanistic goals. Regional approaches could address complex contemporary social problems. Scientific rigor and human concern was compatible rather than the contradictory in nature. So this was provided here. Now, in the next sense, we have multidisciplinary plenary and interdisciplinary expansion of the welfare geography. Contribution, expanding geographic knowledge through interdisciplinary integration. In addressing the complex multidimensional questions of who gets what, where, and how, welfare geographers necessarily drew upon concepts, theories, and methods from diverse academic disciplines. Like the interdisciplinary engagement fundamentally transformed geography into a more intellectually comprehensive discipline here. Now, integration, if we look at from the welfare economics, unity theory and consumer preferences, concept of equality and equity, welfare measurement frameworks here, cost benefit analysis methodologies. Apart from this, theories of social stratification and inequality, social mobility concept, community and social capital frameworks, status and prestige analysis. From the demography, population composition analysis, migration and mobility patterns, age structure and composition effects, mortality and morbidity infrastructure indicators. Then under the public health, disease epidemiology and spatial patterns, health inequality measurement, social determinants of health frameworks, health service provision analysis. Then from the political sciences, power structures and governance, institutional analysis, policy implementation mechanisms, political representation, and voices. Under education, educational equity frameworks, quality of education assessment, access and opportunity concepts, and learning outcome measurement in the under the education. Then from environmental sciences, environmental quality assessment, ecosystem service provisioning, environmental justice frameworks, and pollution exposure patterns. From anthropology, cultural value systems and preferences, local knowledge and adaptation, social organization and kinship, meaning making and symbolism. So these were certain, we can say that, for example, this is number one, number two, sociology, number three, demography, number four, public health, number five, political science, number six, education, number seven, environmental sciences, number eight, anthropology. So here we are bringing something from eight different disciplines into the geography, which is very much foundational or basis for the development of the welfarism or welfare geography in the human geography. Now, the significance of this disciplinary engagement in the for the geography that we have. Number one, epistemological expansion. Geography became comfortable incorporating insights from multiple knowledge traditions. Epistemological is basically meaning the multiple knowledge or multiple sources for the knowledge. Methodological pluralism, where we are taking various quantitative and qualitative methods together to understand a basic reality. Welfare geography validated both qualitative and quantitative methods. Theoretical sophistication. Geographic concepts became enriched through the engagement with the established disciplinary theories also. Then practical relevances. Geographic analysis became more applicable to the real-world policy challenges. Distinction from the simple eclecticism. Here, welfare geography was not merely indiscriminate, borrowing from the other disciplines. Rather, welfare geographers engaged in the critical synthesis also. What that is? Selecting concepts relevant to the geographic inquiry. Number two, adapting frameworks to spatial context. It was applied over the space. Number three, maintaining geographic perspective while adopting insight. So the geographical perspective which have been developed, they were taken into consideration and they were not left aloof. Number four, creating distinctly geographic synthesis rather than simply discipline combinations. So here a basic synthesis was developed. Okay, not merely bringing here the combinations of the various subjects and disciplines for same. Now, after this, now here we have certain case studies. We can go through the case studies. Now, here I can say that the major part of the welfare geography is completed. So here are, I think, two case studies are provided, which will help us to understand. Okay, there are certain aspects also. Okay, so till now, this interdisciplinary aspect, are you able to understand it? Any doubt you can ask or you can write in the live chat box. Any questions, any doubts? Clear. Okay, let's move forward. Now here we have a case study which is highlighting the regional inequality in India. That is the north-south development divide here. Okay, north-south we will see that from Maharashtra. Okay, then we have Telangana towards southern part, that is Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Kerala. So these are certain states which are considered as a part of the South India. While we will see Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, West Bengal, Bihar, Uttar Pradesh. Then we have Punjab, Haryana, Rajasthan. They are considered as part of the northern India. Now, in this context, we have something which is quite important to be highlighted from the welfare approach. India's spatial inequality represents one of the starkest examples of regional welfare variation globally. Okay, making it as ideal case for applying welfare geography frameworks. The divide between the southern states, particularly Kerala and Karnataka, and northern states, particularly Bihar and Uttar Pradesh and Madhya Pradesh, demonstrates how geographic factors, historical processes, and institutional structures combine to produce persistent welfare inequalities over the space and also over the time. So here we have two aspects, which is having its effect over the space and also over the time. Now, quantitative welfare indicator comparison, if we look at the health indicators, number one, life expectancy. Kerala currently having 77.4 years, Tamil Nadu 70.5 years. National average is 70.7 years. Uttar Pradesh it is 68.3 years, Bihar it is 67.2 years, and Madhya Pradesh it is 65.8 years. The gap analysis when it was done, the difference between the Kerala and Madhya Pradesh represents 11.6 years of life expectancy differential, meaning an average Keralite can expect to live over a decade longer than an average resident of Madhya Pradesh. This statistic encapsulates entire lifetimes of the welfare differences. So it is not just something which is highlighted as a part of something which is present over the space, but how it is present as a part of the welfare part, which is provided to the people of Kerala and Madhya Pradesh. This is also highlighting that part here. Now, infant mortality rate per 1000 lives. In Kerala, it is number 9 in 2021. Sorry, it is 9 in 2021. Tamil Nadu is 18 per thousand. India average is 28 per thousand. Uttar Pradesh is 46 per thousand. Bihar is 53 per thousand. And Madhya Pradesh is 59 per thousand. So we can see a difference between Kerala and Tamil Nadu and Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, and Madhya Pradesh, which is having an average of, we can say, above 50. Interpretation, what we can see. Infants in Kerala face mortality risk less than one-sixth those of infants in Madhya Pradesh. This differential reflects varying access to maternal health care, nutritional status, disease prevalence, and sanitation conditions between the two states as a part of the welfare studies. When we look at the education indicators, literacy rate, which is percent of population above the age of 7, which we are taking here. Kerala is 94% literate in 2021. Tamil Nadu 80.3%. Average national we have literacy that is 74.4%. Madhya Pradesh is 70.6%. Bihar is 63.8%. Uttar Pradesh is 69.7%. So here we can see a literacy gap which is present in India, which is a failure of the implementation of welfare approaches over the Indian spaces. So in Kerala, 6.2 percentage of, sorry, this is gender gap. Okay, so next is gender gap in the literacy. In Kerala, there is 6.2% point of gender gap, that is the male education and the female education, or female literacy and the male literacy. India averages 16.8% here. Bihar have 20.3% of this gap, while Madhya Pradesh have 21.5 percentage of point gap between the male and female literacy. Significance, if we look, literacy variation reflects cumulative educational deprivation across generations. In states with high literacy, families prioritize education. In low literacy states, poverty-ridden child labor and early marriage persist likewise. So this can be seen over the space between the different states of India. When we go to the economic indicators of the north and south part of India, the per capita GSDP, the gross state domestic product at constant 2011 to 2012 prices. So Goa, it have almost around 12 lakh 95,000 here. Well, Tamil Nadu, sorry, it is 2 lakh 95,000. 2 lakh 95,000. Tamil Nadu, it is 1 lakh 95,000. Karnataka, 1 lakh 62,000. National average, we have 1 lakh 27,000. Uttar Pradesh, 97,000. Bihar, 61,000. Madhya Pradesh, 84,000. Okay, in the previous topic, I was explaining to you that how there is a per capita GDP, per capita income is varying between different states, the people who are living in different states of India. For example, in Goa, a particular person is earning 2,95,000 per average in a particular year, where a person living in Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, and Madhya Pradesh, they are earning way too less than even 1 lakh. So here we can see that there is a 3 lakh and there is less than 1 lakh. So we can understand that what is the disparity level which is prevalent within the states. How this has been so? What have resulted into this condition? So this is something which is highlighted as a part of the welfare geography, which was studied here in the form of the regional studies. So analysis we see here, Bihar's per capita income is only 48% of the national average and 21% of Kerala's per capita income, indicating fundamentally different opportunities for wealth accumulation and consumption between the two states. While when we look at the poverty indices, we have Kerala, which is 4.8% population below the poverty line in 2019, while for Tamil Nadu it is 7.2%. National average of India it is 21.6%, but when we go to the various states like Madhya Pradesh, it is 35.2%, Uttar Pradesh, it is 28.4%, while Bihar, it is 36.2%. Therefore, we can see the quality, the kind of the issue with respect to the poverty, the people living below the poverty line, it is such varied between the different states of India. Now, going for the welfare mapping, that is the quality of life geography for these indicators which are provided above. The composite quality of life index construction is done here. Using welfare geography methodology, we can construct a composite quality of life index combining multiple indicators. What these indicators can be? Number one, health, which is specifying 40%, that is life expectancy, infant mortality rate, health service access in those regions. Number two, education, signifying for 25%, where literacy, enrollment rates, and gender parity is also calculated. Number three, economic is for 20%, where per capita income, poverty rate, and employment is taken into consideration. Number four, infrastructure, water, sanitation, electricity access is important part of it. So here we see that the welfarism, which is looking for the construction of a geographic space which is more equitable over the space. So what should be the components which should be provided here? For example, if you don't have a very good infrastructure, but your health is good, your expectancy is good, you are provided with the various good health services, so overall component will be quite better with respect to the space where you are living in. Now, computed quality of life indices 0 to 1 scale, where 1 is for maximum welfare. Kerala, we will see that here it is 1. Tamil Nadu is for number 2. Karnataka is for number 3. Okay. This is dash and this is also dash here. Madhya Pradesh is for 27. Uttar Pradesh is for 25. Bihar is for 28. So these are the various states where we are specifying them for the various kind of the quality of life indicators are developed for them with respect to their indices which we have provided above. Now, moving forward, the historical and structural explanations for these inequalities which we have seen above. Kerala's welfare development path. So there are certain pre-independence factors. The former princely state of Travancore, now part of Kerala, implemented early modernization, including number one, land reforms reducing landlord power. Number two, educational investment by the progressive rulers. Number three, relatively egalitarian social structures. So this was seen as the basic tenets of the development of this state of Kerala. Now, there were certain post-independent decisions were also made here, but the Kerala's government prioritized number one, universal education and literacy campaigns, which was done in the early 1950s and 1960s. Number two, healthcare system development. Number three, land distribution policies. Number four, Income redistribution through the progressive taxation was also made by the state government. Number three, demographic transition. Early fertility decline due to female education and healthcare provision created favorable population dependency ratios, facilitating welfare investment accumulation in the state. Here we can see the issue of Bihar, where the Bihar's poverty locked in here. So these two states, I have seen that when I was studying for my exams in 2011, 12, 13, and right now it is 2025. Then also it was taken the example of Kerala and Bihar, and right now also it is taken as the example of Kerala and Bihar, because the issue here, it is getting contrasted with respect to the time. It is not converging, but it is still diverging. Okay. Number one, colonial legacy. Exploitation as a raw material and extraction zone. Number one, in this part, agricultural surplus extraction without the reinvestment. Number two, infrastructure redevelopment only for extraction, that is the railways and canals. Number three, educational institutions minimally developed in the region. Now, under the post-independence challenges, number one, weak state administrative capacity. Number two, feudal social structures resisting land reforms. So land reform failure here became one of the major issue for the low development indicators for the state. Number three, high corruption limiting welfare program effectiveness. Number four, population growth without corresponding human development investment in the region. Now, institutional failures which are seen here. Number one, public distribution system largely non-functional in the region. Number two, healthcare system severely underfunded because of the lack of fund and corruption. Number three, school infrastructure inadequately present, and where it is present, it is also very much deprived of the basic facilities. Number four, governance corruption reducing program effectiveness. If a certain program is getting a fund of around 10 crore, but the effective implementation is just 4 to 5 crore. So overall effectiveness of that program, it will naturally decline. So this is happening in the region of Bihar. Now, the structural mechanisms which are perpetuating inequality in the region here. Brain drain and the human capital loss. Now, what is happening in the region of Bihar? It is not like that bright minds are not present. The people do not want to work for the region or for the Bihar. But whoever goes into the egalitarian part, they basically migrate to other region. So this is one important factor which is resulting into the kind of uh, a kind of, we can say, the perpetual inequality in the region. For example, I am from Maharashtra. I have been in Maharashtra. I'm born in Maharashtra, Nagpur. I have lived in Delhi for around 12 years, and I have come back to my state. Now, after coming back to my state, it is not like I have been deprived of a lot of things. Instead, I'm enjoying here. I'm enjoying my time, my family, my society. Along with that, I'm also getting certain basic income, for which I am getting a better quality of life, which I was enjoying in Delhi. I have better health right now. So there are a lot of things which have become better here after coming back to my city here. In fact, I am getting time for what I'm doing, which I wanted to do since last 7 to 8 years. Like this free program that I'm running for you, all the aspirants, so that you can get a free basic education. So how this is done? This is done when I am free. I am getting an opportunity that what I want to pursue. So this opportunity is given to me by my state here. So this is an important aspect, important perspective, which is seen here as a part of the welfarism. In lower welfare states like Bihar and Madhya Pradesh, educated individuals migrate toward states with better employment and living conditions, particular to the metros like Delhi, Bangalore, and Hyderabad. This selective out migration drains human capital, which is reducing number one, the quality of local institutions. Number two, entrepreneurial capacity. Number three, professional services availability. Number four, role models for the education. So it can be like when I'm coming back to my region again and I'm starting this initiative. After 2 to 3 years, those who are watching this lecture, means currently it is less. because it is a new initiative. But after certain period of time, I know that this will get boosted up to the major regions where the students they are looking for the free education for this geography optional part. So yes, they will actually see and know the quality, and I know the quality of this particular program. It is very high. They are also getting this particular study material along with the lectures, so it will actually boost their preparation level. So after a certain point of time, this will result into a kind of a role model for them, which they will also apply for the aspirants who are budding in those regions for their children or for their region. So this will create certain new avenues for the development in those region here. Okay. Now, next is agricultural versus the industrial base. In the northern states, predominantly agricultural economies with low value addition, vulnerable to climate vulnerability, then skill development is also limited in those regions. While in the southern states, there is greater industrialization. For example, in the region of Kerala also, there are coir industries, there are coconut industries. In fact, there are tea plantations, coffee plantations, and apart from that, there is rice farming and related industries are present here who are directly sending their produces to the Gulf countries and to the developed nations where they are having a good cost of their produces and they are happy to do those work there. Service sector development, okay, this is also quite highly done. Diversified economic phase providing more opportunities in the region. Now, looking at the infrastructure gaps, number one, transportation. The southern states have better road and rail connectivity, reducing the transaction cost in any region. Number two, when we talk about energy, there is a consistent power supply in the southern states, enabling business development in the region. There is frequent outages in the northern states, discouraging the investment by the FDI or the foreign investors in those states there. Number three, digital. Better internet penetration in southern states facilitates educational and economic opportunities in the region there. Now, when we talk about the spatial expression and regional mapping, there is multi-scale welfare geography. For example, national scale pattern. There is clear north-south divide, which with southern states clustering in high welfare category and eastern and central states in the low welfare category here. Now, state level variations when we look at within states, the spatial inequality also mirrors national patterns, that is, urban centers, particularly state capitals, show significantly higher welfare than the rural peripheries. For example, some of you might be living in tier 1 or tier 2 cities, and others might be living in tier 3, tier 4, tier 5, or tier 6 cities also. So under this part, you will see that the availability and access to resources in your region, it is quite varied from tier 1 and tier 2 city to tier 3, tier 4, tier 5, and tier 6 cities. So this is very much contrasting in nature, which is present in the state level variation. It is not like Kerala, under Kerala or Tamil Nadu also, under the, we can say, the towns, they have all the facilities. No, they do not have all the facilities. It is majorly tier 1, tier 2, and to a certain extent tier 3 cities. But there are also various issues which are prevalent in tier 4, tier 5, and tier 6 cities there. Now, sub-state variations within Kerala. Despite overall high welfare, coastal and urban areas like Kochi, Thiruvananthapuram show higher welfare than interior highlands. Example, Idukki and Wayanad. See, I was talking about the example, and here there is sub-state variation is highlighted in this example of Kerala only. Now, next is policy implications from welfare geographical perspective. What should be the policy implications should be seen for the development of that particular region? There should be number one, targeted interventions. Welfare geography reveals that generic national policies prove insufficient. Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, and Uttar Pradesh require area specific intensive interventions, which is addressing number one, education, number two, health, and number three, economic opportunities. When we look at the subpoints here, there should be aggressive literacy campaigns, teacher recruitment, infrastructure investment in the region. Under the health, healthcare worker deployment, maternal and child health focus should be given here. Economic opportunity, that is industrial development, skill training, and employment creation should be given a good emphasis. While redistribution mechanisms we will look at, the documented welfare gaps justified progressive fiscal transfers from high welfare, that is high GSDP, states to low welfare states, channeled through number one, central government welfare schemes, number two, infrastructure development grants, and number three, human resource development programs. These three things becomes a foundational basis for the development of any state, not only in India but also over the world. Therefore, these three things should be channeled very greatly upon. Okay. Now we have case study two, that is urban inequality in Mumbai, spatial segregation and welfare variation. Okay, I will be looking at certain important point of this case study so that we understand that what is the basic foundation of the urban inequality in Mumbai. So Mumbai as a particular, we can say city, which is comprising of 3 to 4 districts, how it is also facing this inequality issue. Let's understand that. Geographical context. Mumbai, it is India's financial capital and largest metropolitan area, representing a striking microscom, microcosm of spatial welfare inequality within a single urban agglomeration. The city encompasses ultra-modern skyscrapers alongside sprawling informal settlements, creating extreme aerial differentiation with neighborhoods, a phenomenon that welfare geography is uniquely positioned to analyze. When we talk about the context here, population is 20.9 million, that is Mumbai metropolitan region. This is 2011 data. Okay, this is around 2 crores. But when you will look at the current part here, or the current, you can say data, it is almost touching around 30 million after 15 years. Area we will look at, it is 603 square kilometer, ranked world's sixth most populous metropolitan area. Economic significance, it generates, a single city generates 5% of India's GDP. Financial, media, manufacturing hub is present in this Mumbai region. When we move forward, the welfare indicators, that is intra-urban variation. District level welfare mapping. Mumbai comprises 24 administrative wards organizing into 6 zones. Welfare indicators show extreme variation across these zones. Number 1, health indicators by zone. Central, that is South Mumbai, Kolaba Fort, and Kala Ghoda. Hospitals, 8 major hospitals, extensive private healthcare are present. Infant mortality rate, it is 12 per 1000 live birth, that is below the city average. Malnutrition, that is stunting, it is 18% prevalent over the children. Average bed density, it is 45 beds per 10,000, 1 lakh population, which is very low here. When we talk about the eastern, that is the Chembur or Govandi Denor. Hospitals, it is 2 major hospitals, limited private healthcare. Infant mortality rate, see here it is 38 per live 1000 birth, that is city average. Here it is just 12, it is 38. So how starking it is within the Mumbai. Malnutrition, here it is 18%. In Chembur, it is 42% in children. Average bed density, it is 45 is less, but 12 is too far less over the 1 lakh population. When we talk about the western suburb, that is the Bandra, Andheri, and Borivali. Hospitals higher than the above two, 15 major hospitals. Infant mortality rate, it is 16 per 1000 live births. Malnutrition, again higher, 22% in children. Then average bed density, it is 42 beds per 1 lakh population. See if we can compare here. Here, major hospitals are higher, but overall, we can say indicators, it is less than the South Mumbai here. It is the highest one. Then, eastern suburbs, that is Mulund Thane areas. Hospitals, 6 major hospitals, growing private sector is seen here. Infant mortality rate, it is 28 per 1000 live birth. Malnutrition, that is stunting, it is 35% in children. Average bed density, it is 22 beds per 1 lakh population. Therefore, it is also quite low here. Central suburbs, when we talk about it, is consisting of Dadar, Mahim, and Parel. Before going through all this thing, you can go through the map of Mumbai and you can see where these regions are located. You will be able to understand this case study in a better way because you need to understand that particular city more. Then you will be able to see that how these regional variations are they are attached to this particular region of Mumbai. Hospitals, 10 major hospitals, mixed public and private sector. Then infant mortality rate, it is 24 per 1000 live birth. When we talk about malnutrition, that is stunting, it is 28% in children. Average band density, it is 30 per 1 lakh population. When we have eastern peripheral like Dharavi, Govanti, and Mulundist, here we can say that this is one of the area which is a complete informal areas in the region. Hospitals, it is three major, primarily government. Infant mortality rate 45 per 1000 live birth, which is the highest here. Malnutrition stunting, it is 48% here. Average bed density, it is 8 beds per 1 lakh population, which we see here, it is the lowest in all the when we compare to the other areas. When we do an analysis of this region, we see that the 3.75 times difference in IMR, that is the infant mortality rate, between the central zones, that is 12 per 1000, and eastern peripheral zones, which is 45 per 1000, demonstrates how healthcare access itself determined by residential location and income fundamentally shapes health outcomes within a single metropolitan area. So income, it is one of the important factor which is being resulting into such kind of the disparate situation. When we talk about the education indicators by the locality, under the South Mumbai, which is a high income area, schools per 10,000 population is 8.5. Average student teacher ratio is 28.1, 28 raised to 1. Literacy rate is 92%, school enrollment is 98%, private school enrollment is 72%. When we talk about the central Mumbai, which is middle income, schools per 10,000 population, it is 5.2. Average student teacher ratio is 42 raised to 1, which is increasing from the previous part. Literacy rate is 82%, school enrollment is 89%, which is declining here. And private schools here, they are also private school enrollment, it is just 38% here, which is just half from the 72% from the above part. Slum, that is informal areas, that is low income. Schools per 10,000 population, it is just 2.1. Average student teacher ratio is 58 raised to 1. Literacy ratio is 61%, which is lower than the above two. School enrollment, it is just 71%, while the private school enrollment, it is just 8%. Okay, it is just one fifth of the above part. Okay. Implication when we look at here, children in slum areas face four times higher teacher ratios and significantly lower enrollment, creating perpetual inequality in human capital development across the generations living in the same city. This will not only result into the issue of the generation of that particular, we can say, year, but intergenerational, we can say, disparity will be created here because of the lack of education and the various aspects here. When we talk about the housing and infrastructure within the city, we have housing quality index, that is South Mumbai, Kolaba Fort, permanent structures 96%, persons per room 1.2, toilet access is 99%. How many of you have been to Mumbai or watching these lectures? I have lived in Mumbai for 4 years. I was under the employment there, so I've been living there. But how many have you been to Mumbai? How many of you have lived in Mumbai region? Please comment in the box. You will be able to relate with the issue that is being highlighted here. Safe water access is 99%. Housing index is 0.98, which is very, very high in the South Mumbai. When we go to the western suburb, that is Bandra and Andheri, permanent structures 91%. Persons per room, it is 2.1. Toilet access is 97%. Safe water access is 98%, and housing index is 0.94. When we go to the central suburbs, that is Dadar and Mahim, permanent structures, it is 82%. Persons per room is 32.4. That is, in a particular room, an average 3.4% are living. In this particular region, Andheri, in a particular room, 2.1% they are living here. Okay, I have been lived in Sion for Mumbai for 3 years. Okay, very good. Sion also, we will see that it is also coming under the part of the suburb part of the Mumbai. Okay, it is near to the Sion is near to the Andheri part also. What I believe, Sion. It is present near the we can say harbor line. It is present near over the harbor line, Sion. So you can relate that how the life in Mumbai is. Okay, because I have also lived in Mumbai. I used to live in Andheri. Okay, Andheri East I used to live in. So I used to feel that when I used to go towards the harbor line, when I used to go to the Andheri or I used to go to the Bandra, I can see the stark difference that is present within the Mumbai region. Okay, so toilet access it is 94%. Then safe water access is 96%. Yes, chamber. Housing index is 0.83%. Okay. When we go to the informal settlements of Dharavi, that is Govandi or Govandi, permanent structure just 18%. That is primarily temporary structures are present here. Persons per room it is 6.8. For example, in this region, 7 persons are living in this room, in the single room. Then toilet access is 42%. Safe water access is 68%. Housing index is just 0.24% in the region. Therefore, we can say the interpretation, the 4.08-fold difference in housing indices between the South Mumbai and the informal settlement reflects fundamentally different living conditions, from dignified housing to overcrowded shacks without basic sanitation in the region. Okay, so this is one of the part which is provided here. Okay, I will be extensively covering the Mumbai issue, or what is the geographical aspect what we can see Mumbai from. So I'll be covering in detail in any one of the section here. But what we are going through it is from the welfare perspective. Now, looking at the economic indicators and the economic segregation in the Mumbai region. Employment type and distribution. South Mumbai, professional or manager 68%, clerical and sales 22%, service or skilled labor 8%, informal employment just 2%. Average household income is 2,50,000 rupees per month. Okay, this is per month I'm talking about. When we look at the western suburbs, professional manager is 42%, clerical sales increases to 35%, service or skilled labor increases to 18%. Informal employment it increases to 5% here. Then average household income it is 95,000 per month. Central suburbs. Professional manager it is 18%, declining again. Clerical or sales 28%. Okay, it is a bit less, but services and skilled labor it is increasing to 38%, which is almost more than twice than the suburbs. Then informal employment it is almost three times, so it is 16%. Average household income is 38,000 per month. When we talk about the informal settlement, the professional manager is just 2%, clerical sales is 4%, service or skilled labor it is 18%, while the informal employment it is whopping 76%. That is almost 75% of the total people they are involved in the informal employment. That is street vending, waste picking, or a day labor. So average household income here it is just 12,000 rupees a month for a person, which you can say which is so less in this informal settlement. Thus, the special income gap what we see, the 20.8-fold difference in average household income between South Mumbai, which is 2,50,000 per month, and informal settlements, which is 12,000 per month, creates fundamentally different consumption and welfare possibilities in this region here. Now, when we look at the spatial segregation, the geographic expression of the inequality, the urban segregation geography, Mumbai exhibits systematic spatial segregation, where There is presence of wealthy enclave in South Mumbai, parts of Bandra and Worli. Middle income areas, okay, forms the ring ground around the business districts. Low income informal settlement locate on peripheries or in interstices of the developed areas. Then employment centers concentrate in the South Mumbai and the western suburbs like Andheri, Bandra, Dadar. Now, segregation consequences for welfare. Number one, commuting burden and the time poverty. Now, Mumbai is one of the region. If you are living, if you want to live in Mumbai, if you are living in Andheri kind of region, it can be east or west. So you need to have at least 50 to 60,000 of budget for just 2 BHK flat there. Okay, so therefore, to have a basic flat of 20,000, also you have to go at least 15 to 12, 20 kilometers away from where you have your office or where you have your, we can say, employment. So residents of peripheral slum must commute 30 to 60 kilometers daily. This is also, we can say, it is increasing for the people who are living in the slum areas to employment centers and consumption. 2 to 3 hours of daily in transportation. 25% of monthly household income in commuting cost is seen here. Energy and time that could be invested in education, health, or rest. It is just consumed by here for the commutation. So here we can very highly apply also the time and space geography, which is basically a part of the behavioralism. Okay. Now, residents of South Mumbai typically commute 2 to 5 kilometers, spend 30 to 40 minutes daily, spend 3 to 5% of monthly income on the commuting part here. Then, social capital and network segregation. Social contexts largely occur within the economic classes only. Employment networking. So, can we use this kind of case studies in a? Yes, you can obviously use this, not the complete case, but you can use certain part of it. For example, if you are talking about literacy, so literacy part. If you are talking about urban sanitation issues, so urban sanitation part. So I have taken all the parts where you can take or pick up certain aspect for the answer writing for a particular topic or for a particular cases here. Okay. Now, employment networking less effective for slum residents. Educational and health information flow is constrained here. Reduced social cohesion across the classes is also seen here. Environmental and health consequences, air pollution. The informal settlements, often near the highways, residents face 2 to 3 times higher pollution exposure. Water pollution, proximity to industrial areas or dumps, water contamination risk also take place. Noise pollution, location near the highways or markets, sleep disruption and stress is seen here. Waste exposure. Open dumping near the settlements, disease vector breeding grounds are seen here. Okay. Then we can see here the causal mechanisms, that is understanding the segregation production. So we see here that now we are trying to understand that why such kind of structure is formed here in the Mumbai region. So we have certain historical pathway to this segregation of, we can say, rich, middle income, and the poor one. So colonial period, that is 1857 to 1947. British colonial city planning deliberately segregated cantonment, that is European area, from the Indian areas. Land ownership restricted to Europeans in the central areas. Indian working class segregated to peripheral chawls, that is tenements. Spatial pattern exhibited, that is center elite and periphery working class. Now, post-colonial period, what it was seen, real estate market liberalization allowing the land speculation. Rural-urban migration creating housing demands in the region. Inadequate formal housing investments were seen here. Informal settlement growth on the public-private land margins were also seen here. Economic in the contemporary time. The economic liberalization and service sector boom took place after the 1991. Concentration of high-wage employment in the limited areas were also seen. Real estate speculation and poverty value inflation was seen here. Formal housing prices beyond reach of working class migrants was seen. Okay, it is very difficult for a person to buy a home in the region. Like even Chembur also, you cannot buy a home right now. It is very difficult because it is so high costly there. Then structural mechanisms perpetuating this segregation. Okay, what are the different structures? Number one, land and property market. Land values correlate with the accessibility and prestige in the region. Expensive central land is accessible only to the wealthy people. Working poor must locate in the cheap peripheral land. Market mechanisms reproduce segregation along the generations. Example, South Mumbai land price average between 50,000 to 1 lakh per square meter. Peripheral slumland values at 5,000 to 2,000 per square meter here. A 25,000 to 50,000 fold difference in land values translates to absolute exclusion for the non-wealthy residents here. Then infrastructure provision pattern. Government infrastructure, that is water, sanitation, electricity provision follows capital investment patterns. High income areas, abundant infrastructure, often over provision. Low income areas, minimal infrastructure, high cost for private provisions. This creates infrastructure poverty, which is compounding to the income poverty in the Mumbai urban area. Then educational segregation is also seen. School location concentration in developed areas creates geographic barriers to school access in informal settlement. Expensive private schools required in segregated areas. Lower quality, lower school quality in poor neighborhood. Intergenerational reproduction of the inequality is also seen here. Then, employment segregation. Long commutes for peripheral residents. Informal employment captures for those unable to commute. Reduced income and opportunity for the peripheral located workers are also seen here. Okay, so we have who policy which is provided here. Okay, now there is a policy implication for the urban welfare. You can go through this part. Okay, now coming to the next section here, that is strengths and limitations of the welfare geography. When we talk about the strengths and limitations, there are various aspects which are strength of welfare geography. But yes, as it is part of a, we can say, it is single part of the studies, it also has certain limitations. Strengths when we talk about the humanistic focus with the scientific rigor. This synthesis is very much, we can say, rare, which we find very highly in the welfare geography. The welfare geography successfully bridges the humanistic concerns for human welfare with quantitative scientific methodology, which combines ethical clarity, explicit attention to human suffering and inequality, empirical foundation, measurable data supporting the claims here. Policy relevance, concrete recommendations based on the evidences is seen. Then multidimensional understanding of welfare. Moving beyond single indicator analysis like GDP per capita, welfare geography's multidimensional quality of life framework is captured here. Then complexity of human well-being, health, education, economic, social, environmental dimensions are covered. Equity concerns, recognition that average growth marks distributive inequality. Diverse values, acknowledgement that welfare varies across the population and cultures also. Then spatial systemization of inequality. Welfare geographies explicit spatial focus provided, geographic targeting, identification of priority areas for intervention, pattern recognition, understanding how inequality clusters geographically. Scale sensitive analysis, that is recognition that causes and solutions vary by the scales also. Then interdisciplinary integration is also seen. That is, here the welfare geography's engagement with multidisciplines like sociology, anthropology, economics. Okay, so this is seen here as a part of the welfare geography, which is more applicable to the real world problems across the various sectors and to basically understand the reality here. Then policy orientation. Unlike purely academic approaches, welfare geography maintained explicit commitment to informing policy and improving welfare outcomes also in this region here. Now, there are certain limitations and criticisms which is done by the varied we can say, a varied school of thought for the welfarism. Number one, inadequate explanation of structural causes. Limitation. While welfare geography effectively mapped inequality, it sometimes failed to provide adequate explanation of why inequality persists. For example, we have given a structural part for the policy of the pre-colonial era, then the colonial era, and the post-colonial era. But we will see that before that, there were also certain systems that were working in the Mumbai region, which have actually resulted into the such kind of phenomena in Mumbai. So here, this was critiqued by the radicals. Radical geographers argued that welfare geography's acceptance of contemporary economic system prevented it from addressing fundamental structural causes. So this was seen here. Now, capitalist exploitation and surplus extraction was seen here by the radical. Class-based appropriation of resources was seen. Imperialist and colonial legacies can also be seen in the structures which are present in as a part of the central Mumbai, okay, where the rich live, and the peripheral region where the poor live there. Systematic operation for the capital accumulation is also seen here. For example, documenting Bihar's poverty without analyzing feudal social structures, caste exploitation, and imperial resource extraction arguably achieves only half the analytical task for the understanding of Bihar. Then, methodological challenges in variable selection. Now, challenge one is quantification of non-quantifiable dimensions. Some critical welfare dimension resist quantification, like number one, cultural identity and expression. I cannot quantify completely that what a culture of a person is and how it is expressed. Number two, the spiritual fulfillment. What kind of spirituality I'm having right now, it can also be not quantified. Number three, sense of place and the belonging, which is part of the humanist geography. It is highly subjective. Number four, political voice and agency. For example, I may say in the contemporary time that I am a pro-government part, but inside me, what I'm thinking about the government, it no one knows. So these are the some part which is one of the part which is not quantifiable in the geography or this welfare geography. Thus, the welfare geography's quantitative emphasis sometimes obscured these dimensions or rendered them invisible. So it was kept like an invisible, which is being kept behind, and the some things which are quantifiable, they were taken at the forefront. Then, challenge two was universal versus a particular standards. Assumptions of universal quality of life standards can inadvertently impose dominant group preferences on subordinate populations. For example, number one, urban centric indicators may not capture rural welfare adequately. How people are happy in rural area with respect to what rural people are enjoying, it is not known to the urban people. Therefore, the qualities, the indicators which are kept by the urban people, it is not applied to the rural areas. So this is one big thing which is applied here. Number two, consumer oriented measures may not recognize subsistence economy welfare. For example, the people who are earning in a service sector, for example, 1 lakh per month, cannot recognize the system where the people are or the farmers are working over the 2 acre or farm and they are having an income of just 15,000 or 10,000 per month. So it cannot be compared well. Someone is living for the subsistence, someone is living for the enjoying. So these are the two important differences which are highlighted here. Then number three, Western influenced indicators may not reflect non-Western values. Okay, so non-Western values are not reflected here where these indicators are influenced Western or influenced by the Western thoughts. Limitations of neutrality and reform approach. Critique of claim neutrality. Welfare geographers' insistence on political neutrality and scientific objectivity was itself the politically charged. For example, number one, accepting existing systems, which was implicit endorsement. For example, we have seen in one part for the Richard Morrill, who has said that we need to access the existing system. If I'm existing the if I'm accepting the existing system, I'm accepting that yes, I'm entitled to such kind of inequality, which is prevalent over the space and society. Therefore, this was a kind of a contradiction by the welfare geographers here. Number two, limiting themselves to highlighting problems, passive acceptance of power structures. So, if there is a problem, we have to say that yes, that problem will be present here. And as I said that the problem will be present, it will be aligned to the political structure who also says that the problem was there, will be there, and will also be there in future. So what is a kind of a solution which is given by this welfare geography for the people? So it is also acted as a kind of a, we can say, acted as a kind of a, we can say, limitation here. Number three, faith that policymakers will act, naive about the power and resistance. Now, in a certain region, in your particular village or city, in certain pockets, there are MLAs or MPs who are the pro-government. There are certain MPs and MLAs who are basically present to the other party or the minority party. So in this case, what the policy makers will work for, they will work for the people, or they will work for the geographical spaces where their own party members or the people who are voting for their parties members, they are residing there. So this will actually result into a kind of power issue and the resistance for those people for investment and development. So next is reform limitations while advocating for incremental welfare improvements. Welfare geographers potentially, number one, legitimize fundamental unequal system through the reformist engagement. Okay, so here it is like we do not want to revolve here. The revolt cannot be bring, but reformist reforms can be done here. So they were aligned to the reformist engagement. Number two, provided justification for minimal changes. See, we are addressing inequality, but how changing them? It is not addressed here. Number three, reinforce elite dominance by the working within the existing structures. So here the working class was made more elite and their dominance was seen over the existing structures. Can be political, can be economic, it can be social. Okay. Now, the dangers of the depoliticization risk converting political questions into technical problems like number one, why does Bihar remain poor? Become a technical policy question answerable through development programs. So this was something which was changed here by the welfare geography, where the welfare programs, their work, their non-working, was seen here as a part of the issue which is prevalent over the job over the Bihar region, rather than we have taken into consideration that there are hundreds of things which are present, which have resulted into the less development or the disproportionate development of the Bihar region. So this was seen as a part of the technical problem. Number two, but the political economic question of who benefits from Bihar's poverty and resists change remains unaddressed in this question here. Similarly, the technical solutions without political change may achieve minimum welfare improvement in the region of Bihar from the question which have been asked here and the question which have been left here, the aspects which have been left here. Then the welfare approach unsustainability. Here we will say that the welfare geography, it also got merged with the critical geography in the future, which became one of the important part of the fundamentalist functionalist geography in the later part. So historical fate when we will look at, the welfare geography rose to prominence in the late 1980s, but could not sustain its centrality. Thus, it subsequently merged with the structural and the critical geographies in future. Reasons for decline. Number one, policy implementation gap. While welfare geography generated rigorous analysis, actual policy implementation lacked in the region. Governments continued inequitable practices despite geographic documentation. Number two, radical critic impacted here. Radical geographers argumented that structural reform is necessary, gained increasing acceptance among the geographers concerned with the justice here. Then intellectual exhaustion. The welfare framework, having established its main contributions, required theoretical evolution to remain vital in this welfare geography. Number four, emergence of alternate approaches like structuralism, Marxist geography, feminist geography, and post-colonial geography offered alternative frameworks addressing some welfare geography limitations here. Okay. Now we have a comparison for quantitative radical approach and the welfare approach. You can go through this part here. Okay. Now, next part we have the fundamental contributions. Geography, welfare, though has its own, we can say, the positives, it certainly have its certain negatives also. But what fundamental contributions welfare geography did, it is also quite significant. Welfare geography achieved three fundamental contributions to geographical thought. Number one, rehumanization, which was done because of the dehumanization by the quantitative revolution. Number two, spatial justice framework. Okay, as a radical part, we will say that there was highlighting of the spatial inequality and spatial injustice. It established geography as a discipline capable of addressing justice questions, documenting who bears welfare burdens and how geographic systems distribute opportunity and deprivation in this particular system. Then methodological synthesis. Here demonstrated that quantitative rigor and humanistic concerns are compatible and can be worked together, creating space for engaged scholarship that is simultaneously rigorous and relevant in this region here. Okay, contemporary relevance when we look for the welfare geography. It is used for sustainable development goals. It is used for human development index, for the climate justice and environmental equity. And COVID-19 responses also have its certain roots in the welfare geography. Then integration with the contemporary approaches, environmental justice, urban studies, developmental studies, and feminist geography is also seen here. Okay, so there are certain questions which are present as a part of the for the practice questions are provided here. You can go through this question, okay, and you can write the answer for your self integration. Guys, if you have any doubts, any queries, you can ask in this live chat box here. If you have any doubts and queries while studying other perspective of the book, you can go to this particular. You can ask question in the chat box, also in the comment box, or you can come to my Telegram channel, and there you can ask the question to me also directly. Okay. Any doubts, any queries, if you have, you can ask here. Okay, no doubt from Urmila. What about Shalini? Okay, no doubt. So I'll be concluding this lecture today here, and in the tomorrow's lecture we'll be looking at the environmentalism. Okay, the environmentalism and the environmental geography. Okay, so guys, see you in the next session. All the best and take care. And yes, do comment on the this part here, that how did you like the lecture? What important points you felt very good from this particular lecture here? Okay, that you can do for me. Thank you very much.